Alrighty then. Hey guys, my name's LDC and welcome to day 2 of my Agrarian Skies 2-week challenge series, where I continue my quest to complete this mod pack in just 14 days. Yesterday I set myself up the smeltery, the cobble and lava gen. Today I really want to work on automatic resource production, which is kind of a lengthy project, which is going to take me quite some time. You can see on the left there, the timer's already chugged through to only 17 hours left in this day, so I'm starting a lot later than I was yesterday, which is really only increasing the pressure I have to do things here. So, first things first, today I want to make myself some nice new tools. So to do that, I'm going to first make some aluminum brass by throwing copper and aluminum in the smeltery at a 1:3 ratio. The other thing I want to do is grab some diamonds from a bunch of gravel I sieved off camera. I also, it's worth noting, sieved up a bunch of dust and have myself nearly a stack of redstone, which is going to help out later today. So with those diamonds and this stick, I make myself the all-important builder's wand. So I grab myself a couple stacks of cobble, and I start building out a platform. Alright, so I very quickly have put myself together a pretty large, one thick platform. I'll be doubling the thickness of that in just a little bit. Meanwhile, this should have finished cooking, and it has, so I have 8 ingots of aluminum brass. I can start throwing these down. Just like so. I grabbed the strong box out of the house using my crescent hammer, this little fella right here, and I'm going to use that to store some of these items. Now I want to make these tools out of bronze because it's pretty good and good enough for my purposes anyway. Bronze is made with copper and tin in a 3:1 ratio. I'll grab myself a bunch of that. This excess aluminum brass can just fly in here. And so once that bronze is finished cooking up, I'll be able to make myself some slightly nicer tools. While I wait, I'll fill out the rest of this platform. Lovely jubbly, that's a big old platform that I'm going to be able to put things on. And I can continue to extend that pretty easily. Of course, a huge flat cobble platform is not the prettiest thing in the world, but I don't really have too much time to be mucking around with it. So my bronze is finished cooking while I was doing that, which is quite nice. I'm going to get myself, not those. First I want a pick, which is these 3 items. Binding, the rod, the head. Then I'm going to want the shovel and axe to make my mattock. In the tool station, I can now make a pick out of bronze. And I'm aware that there are better materials I can do this with, but bronze is pretty good. And saves me the time of hunting better things down. And serve my purposes. I'm pretty happy to just throw these off the edge. Goodbye, old friends. So, on this platform, the first step in the road to automatic processing is power. So for my first power source, I'm going to want 5 lava generators. To power 5 lava generators constantly, I will need a constant supply of lava. These each produce 0.2 millibuckets a tick. To power those 5 lava generators, I'm going to need 2.5 millibuckets a tick. So 2.5 divided by 0.2. is 12.5. Not a big deal. I can upgrade this later. I'm going to start myself off with 20 crucibles, because I'll use the excess lava to power my smelteries. So we can see here that lava flows 3 blocks away from the source block. I can use either source or flowing lava to power a crucible to 0.2 millibuckets tick. So I'll count up 3, 1, 2, 3, and plonk down my source block. Gonna need another one. 1, 2, 3. And with 2 blocks of lava I can power 10 crucibles. I could power more and make it more efficient, but that's not really a huge concern of mine right now. So now I just need 20 crucibles. I already have 5, so I'll make 15 more. So to make all those crucibles, I want a decent supply of clay. So that's going to be the next thing I sort of semi-automate. I've started up a system here. So it needs a few things. First of all, I switch all these on. They're not really doing much right yet. I'm going to add to them an aqueous accumulator, which is built like so. Bucket, machine frame, nothing too fancy. The aqueous accumulator is another magic machine that outputs automatically, with 2 source blocks next to it. So like this, these barrels start getting filled with water. And they're going to be filled with water ad infinitum. Now if I fill this chest with dust, the dust will go in here, form clay, and be pumped out by these item ducts into the bottom one. So I need some dust. And so here, I'm just using the autonomous activator to help me grind down about half a stack of cobble into dust. So that didn't take too long, and I have half a stack of dust. This water barrel is turning this into moss stone, which is not particularly useful as far as I know, but a fun factoid. So now the dust pumps itself into here. I actually only needed 1 barrel, 2 barrels. It's only using 2 barrels. If this item duct was a impulse item duct, it would transfer the items faster and be able to use more barrels. So look, there it used the 3rd. So this is about as many barrels as I wanted. So now I have a bunch of clay. I'm going to need about 25 clay blocks. That little clay producing system is also going to help later when I need to make more smelteries. Alrighty, so I need 105 clay balls, which is a stack plus 41. Get rid of 5 of these, 64 and 41, and the same amount of bone meal. Got a bunch of bone meal from all the sieving I've been doing. So I combine these, and so now I have a bunch of crucibles I can just cook in a furnace. I use this coal I prepared earlier, which is not going in the damn thing. There we go. Alright, so the crucibles are done, and I've moved the basis of this lava gen system over to here. 20 cooked crucibles. And I clear out this row of cobble, because this is where the fluid ducts are going to go. Cool, so the fluid ducts are set and configured correctly, as you can see there. Now just make sure they're all powered. And you can see that just now, this last crucible is about to fill with cobble. It would take 63 of these crucibles to fully keep up with the output of a single igneous extruder. I'm not going to go that big, mainly for reasons of lag. These are some of the laggiest machines in the entire mod pack in my experience, so I'm kind of already stretching it a little bit with this 20. Cool, so I have myself here an empty drum. I'm going to set this up so that lava pours in the top. I'll tidy up that, I don't like that. So, with all this lava, we're going to power us some lava generators from extra utilities. The lava generators are pretty simple, if a little expensive. Mainly a lot of gold and iron, also a little bit of redstone. So I'm going to want to make 5 of these. I don't have enough for 5 yet. Whoops, that's too many furnaces. I need to wait for some more gold to cook up, but I'm off to a reasonable start. I have 2 iron blocks on me right now. Okay, so we have some lava generators with some pipe on the back that I need to just pump some lava into. Like so. And these will start churning out RF with this lava. They use 1 bucket of lava every 100 seconds. So this 250,000 odd buckets is going to last these two kind of a long time. And you can see that I've tidied up this system a bit, so the lava pumps straight through, powers the generators, which are currently doing nothing, but building themselves up a nice power stock, and then excess is filling this drum. To To improve my ability to process metals in the short term, I want to set myself up a little bit of automation on this here smeltery. I want to add another drain into the side here. Underneath that drain I'm going to add one of the casting basins. Now I simply throw a fluid duct on the side, ensure it has power, set it to output fluid into the casting basin, and then output items into a chest. Again, making sure this has power. So, I have now a smeltery with very rudimentary automation capabilities. And we can see this is filling with silver. The silver cools into a block and makes its way into this chest. Alright, so the next step in the resource production chain is to get myself some pulverizers, using the power from these new lava generators to power them. I'm going to start off with 3 pulverizers, which are reasonably cheap, and put them next to this extruder I've got that's currently set to export cobble to the right side. I take this pulverizer, it's set to input on the left, I'll set it to output to the right, and I repeat. This one I'll set to output to the top. So what's going to happen here is this will produce gravel, this will produce sand, and this will output dust. Sweet! I'm going to make myself a barrel to grab that dust, and then move on to my next project while that barrel fills. Right, so the next thing I want to be able to do is auto-sieve this dust and later gravel and sand that I'll be producing. I can auto-sieve it with an activator, or a couple of activators, but in order to actually collect the drops, I'm going to need ender pearls. So my next step in this long-winded project is to make a mob spawner. Alright, so I've been running around with a builder's wand and a inventory full of cobble. I've come over here and extended the platform and laid out the base layer of my mob spawner here. I'm just going to use this base layer to build up. I only really want it high enough that the mobs will be happy to spawn. This isn't a gravity trap. So I started at 71, I'm going to go up like 15, let's say, and not fall down. Not falling down is important. So 71 and 15 is 86, that's 84, 85, 86. So this will be the floor level. I'll light it up for now. I've brought myself a rope ladder, and I'll ride this to the bottom, and begin the same thing on the other side. Alright, so I've fleshed out the other side of this here mob chute, and now I'm going to start building out the sides. Just like so. Oh no, I'll leave a hole there I guess. I did not think about the placement of my rope ladder. So I've got my second rope ladder. Throw that down the chute because that's going to be a constant feature of the mob trap, and I get rid of this rope ladder. I've also got myself down here a pool of water for a speedy exit. Okay, so the first layer of this trap is completed. Now I build up the walls. And the builder's wand makes this easy and fun. Alright, so this wall is completed. And the roof is lit up. I could have used slabs to make the roof, so I wouldn't need to light it up, but I didn't. Chiefly because I didn't feel like it. Also, the slabs don't work with the builder's wand, so that was actually faster. So with this roof done, and no yellow or red crosses up here, I can just come down here, remove these stairs, and fill up the roof. Now, grabbing some slabs, I'm going to go around plonking these down to ensure that there is no room for any spiders to spawn. Spiders are going to be irritating because they're not going to fall through my hole. And they're going to be climbing up and down the thing and not dying and generally being being a pain. I would kind of like the string, but at this point it's not worth it. So this is nearly done. The next step is to throw down some trapdoors around the sides like so. And just open them so that mobs will get confused and fall in. I have one more trapdoor which will go where that ladder is, but before I do that I'm going to take the speedy exit and grab me some Invar spikes. So Invar spikes are a little bit expensive. As you can see here, they take 2 Invar blocks for every 4, and I'm going to want 9 of these spikes. So that's going to total cost me 6 Invar blocks worth to make the 12. That's okay, because I've got my automatic metal processing going over here. It's just churning through right now, but I've already got me a decent amount of Invar lying about. So, it's a pretty small and dinky mob trap we're going to set up here. The reason it's small is because I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it, and it's going to become obsolete reasonably soon. Really, from it, I just needed the ender pearl drops. A couple of those coming through will serve me quite nicely for now. And nothing else is honestly hugely important. Extra bone meal is always pretty swell. So, I start removing the torches. And I've got a beautiful area full of red crosses. I get rid of this rope ladder, replace it with this trapdoor. The eerie Minecraft music starts playing to tell me I'm near a cave. Finally, I drop down, replace the water, and fill up the area with Invar spikes. Oh dear. So now mobs that spawn up there will fall and kill themselves on the Invar spikes, dropping their items. It shouldn't take too long for things to start spawning up there. I really just need one Enderman. So you can see an Enderman spawned up there. He'll fall down reasonably soon, and I'll go and grab that item. But before I do, I need something to use it with, which will of course be the vacuum hopper, which is a hopper, an ender pearl, and a piece of obsidian. I just want 2 of these, one for the mob tower and one for my automatic production system. I have 2 hoppers. I need 2 obsidian. So to make that obsidian, I'm going to take this here extruder and swap it to obsidian mode. First removing its output. Swap it to obsidian mode, move the cobble, and it will make 1 obsidian with the lava and water here. I'll grab a bucket and just replenish it to get a couple. Let's say 3 or 4. And so I have some obsidian. Now I'll go over here. That Enderman looks like he's died, so hopefully this ender pearl is floating about. I don't see it. Oh! What good timing. So with that ender pearl, I think I can do this in my inventory. I can. And now I have a vacuum hopper. And that's going to suck up all those items and output them wherever I want. So there, an automated mob tower. So I'll tell this to output out the front. And just throw a chest there. I understand that this is kind of small and useless. I'll upgrade it in a little bit. Hopefully, though, it shouldn't fill before it's got some ender pearls taking up one of these slots. So the next thing I want to do is fully flesh out this concept, the concept of using powered pulverizers to transform cobble into outputs of dust, sand and gravel, but on a larger scale than right now. So in order to keep things a little tidy, I'm going to build up above this, make myself a second tier, and so I'll be running about with the builder's wand, and some cobblestone. So as you so often do in this mod pack, I'm running pretty low on redstone, which is why I've put together this little machine using the barrel full of dust I made earlier. Well, I say full. It had maybe less than 20 stacks. So that's just going to pump its way into this activator. I'm just going to right click it through the sieve quite slowly. I'll add some more activators later. The vacuum hopper picks that up and jams it in these chests. It's not a perfect solution, but it's going to slowly produce the redstone I'll need to finish fleshing out this whole base. Alright, so we've put ourselves together a shell of what's going to be our gravel, sand, dust production system. It's not functional yet, but I'm just going to walk you through it. The cobblestone pumps into these top 6 pulverizers at the top here. So these pulverizers are going to be outputting the gravel from the cobble and also the sand. These 4 pulverizers here, not these 3, these 4 are going to be set to accept sand, to accept gravel even, because they're going to output sand. So 4 of these are going to sync up with 4 of these to turn cobble from gravel into sand. So we've got 2 excess gravel producing pulverizers, and so any excess from this system is going to be pumped out the side here. I've got nowhere to pump it yet, but I'm going to set this to a dense mode, which means if anything's left over, it'll come out here. So a third of all my cobble is going to become gravel. Next, these 3 are going to be set to take the outputs of the sand, the excess sand that these pulverizers will produce, and also the sand that these 4 will produce. And that's going to therefore turn that sand into dust. And so what's going to effectively happen here is we're going to have 6 pulverizers worth of gravel is going to be turned into 1 pulverizer worth of sand, 2 pulverizers worth of gravel, and 3 pulverizers worth of dust. That's because I'm rating dust as more important than the other 2, and gravel as more important than sand. From sand, all I'm really getting are seeds and yellorium, and yellorium is important, but not hugely, as well as the seeds. So, once this is all hooked up, and cobble is being provided to it by 3 igneous extruders, which is enough for these 6 pulverizers to handle, then we'll have ourselves a working, outputting gravel sand dust machine, which we're going to then be able to auto-sieve with this system. So, due to the fact that I started quite late today, which is no one's fault but my own, we're running out of usable hours in the day before I'm really not going to be able to accomplish much more. Which means I am starting to get behind on schedule a bit. This is a problem. So before I finish up today, I'm going to be grabbing myself a proper workbench, a workstation. This whole system has become pretty unbearable, and so I'm going to use this power to set myself up some decent processing machines. So, with some basic resources and machine parts cobbled together, I make myself a redstone furnace, and another pulverizer, and that can be the beginning of my little workshop area. Can also grab myself a fluid transposer, and an induction smelter. And run these over here as well. In the meantime, I've been cooking up smooth stone, which I'm going to be using to make a stone barrel. Because I want 8 netherrack for my next machine. So to make netherrack, throw some lava from this drum, a bit of redstone, and repeat. I only need 8 of these, and no more for the foreseeable future, so I'm not going to automate this process just yet. 3 more. And so that leaves me pretty low on redstone. I have 9 left. Redstone is such a huge bottleneck in the early game. I've put another 2 autonomous activators on my dust sieve over here, so that's produced me a little bit more redstone while I waited. I'm back up to 41, which is vaguely healthy. The only other thing I need for that magma crucible is a leadstone energy cell frame. I'm out of lead, so I'm just waiting for some to cook up in my smeltery here. Alright, so I've got a bit of lead. My netherrack has finished cooking. So I have the magma crucible. Now I'm going to set this up next to the fluid transposer and just tell it to output to the left and the fluid transposer to input from the right. Got my right and left mixed up, but that's not a huge deal. So I have a little workshop. The next section, next task to complete the workshop is to sort out my storage. Alrighty then, so that's the spring cleaning for the evening done. I've got myself a little workshop with machines and a crafting table, and my items organised much more effectively. So, we fell behind schedule a little bit today. We did get our power generation going. We got ourselves a mob farm, and the beginnings of a bare bones non-functional automation system. We also sorted out our workshop. So hopefully, with this workshop and a fresh start tomorrow, we can start to catch up and complete this automation system. And if there's time, we'll start moving into some blood magic. So, thanks for stopping by, everybody. It's been a pleasure to have you here today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, despite, or maybe because of, how far I fell behind. Stop by tomorrow for day 3, where I frantically panic to try and finish up this automation system on time, and hopefully move on to blood magic to get back on track. Thanks again for stopping by. I've been LDC, and this has been day 2 of my Agrarian Skies 2-week challenge.